Here is a red pill thing. Don't get into a relationship until you're 30, at least. Okay. And no, that's not Dr. Orion Taraban. That is Dr. Rollo Tomasi is what that is. Okay. I've said this as far back as 2004, 2005 on the social forums. Don't even consider monogamy until you're 30. And I mean, like, just have a girlfriend. I'm not saying marry anyone. Okay. Because you still haven't even hit your stride. You haven't even hit your peak yet. You're not going to hit your peak. You're not going to become, I mean, your potential, your peak potential in your mid 30s, you're not even there yet. Your sexual selectivity is nothing compared to what it will be once you have maximized your potential and maximized the things that make you maximally arousing and maximally attractive. Then you get to pick. See, the problem is guys like this get into these long-term relationships for 10 years, and they were high school sweethearts, and they probably believed in this. Oh, it's so great that you guys got together in high school. You're going to make it work. It's this, American dream fantasy of, two star-crossed kids who met. It's a fucking Taylor Swift song is what it is, man. You belong to me. Like, God, stop listening to her.
Fantasy.
Yeah, it's this fantasy. But we all want to believe it's true. And if it breaks up, it's got to be those red pill sons of bitches. Yep. It's got to be those guys. And I'll tell you, the thing that gets me is like, so you've got a couple that's probably been together for about 10 years, at least since 18, right? And now they're 28. Never fucked anybody else. I've always been together. I've been boyfriend and girlfriend for however long. But the chick probably thought she was going to marry this guy. The guy hasn't got married. He starts watching Fresh and Fit and instantly becomes brainwashed. Must worship Myron and Fresh. Make pilgrimage to Brickell. And it's like, no, that's not how it fucking works. Okay. I know that when you're trying to build a brand and you're trying to be as fucking outrageous as you possibly can. Yeah. Okay. I get it. But that's not how things go down. And so you got this couple that's been together, and the guy's like, maybe things aren't, he's what we call awakened while married, although he's not married. It's when guys are in these relationships, they're in a marriage, and they read my book. I've talked about awakened while marriage since as far back as like 2008, 2009 on the SOSWAP forums. Guys who are married, especially guys who are in sexless marriages, and they're looking for answers. As I said before, the Red Pill doesn't advertise. We don't have billboards up. We don't have any, banner ads on any place, anything like that. You have to come looking for answers. So what happens when guys are trapped in sexless, good Christian marriages? What do? They start looking for answers. Where do they find those answers? They find them in the manosphere. It might not be me. It might not be Brian Stone. It might not even be Tate. It might be somebody else. I don't know. But the thing is that they're looking for those answers, and there's a reason why they're looking, because they're in a fucking place that's untenable for them. And that's where this guy probably was. And so he's like, well, I've changed my mind about a few things. I've grown up. I'm maturing. That's why I kept saying, wait until you're 35, 36 before you because so you know who the fuck you are. It's not just about like sexual selectivity. It's also having the fucking forethought and having the maturity to say, I need this and I don't need that. I used to vote for Obama, and now I vote for Trump. And you know what? Now I want to get with a woman who's more about Trump than Obama. But right, I was left leaning, now I'm right leaning, and so this is what I'm after. And the thing is if you fell into this romantic milk farm narrative with your girlfriend, and now you're somebody else, and she expected you to be liberal vegan weesh guy for the rest of your life, and you don't do that. I'm sure he probably tried to get her to change because he probably loves her and he probably wants to bring her along for the ride. If anything, this is an act of caring. It's not an act of pushing her away or anything like that.
Like, don't put yourself on the timeline. Shit changes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you wait until you're 30 years old before you have a fucking monogamous relationship. I'm not saying don't get married. I'm not even saying don't have a monogamous relationship. I'm just saying give it some fucking time, because women peak at 23, men peak potential at around 35, 36, because takes longer for men to mature into their peak potential. At least give yourself an option, right? When you get to that point, like I have so many fucking trad cons who will say like, oh, Rollo and the Red, well, they won't say Rollo. They never say my name. Those Red Pill guys, always say never get married. No, I'm saying wait till you're 36 and pick somebody better than you would have picked if you were desperate and you wanted to get married at, 19, because you're a completely different person. You have different priorities. You've grown in your values, right? You've matured. You're a better judge of character. Hopefully along the way, I'm not saying stay a virgin your whole fucking life until you're 36. I didn't say that. In fact, that's part of the fucking learning curve. That's part of the process. How do I know what I want and I don't want? I'll tell you how I did. Hell, I was 28 when it happened, but like, people say, well, Rolo, how come you don't say the things that you don't do the things that you say? Well, again, I'm where I'm at, not because I did everything right, because I did everything wrong, or I did some things wrong. Okay. Clearly I'm doing something right because, as I've said before, I attribute in great part the success of my marriage to being fucking red pill, to having the understanding of my nature, human male nature and human female nature, knowing what my wife is about, knowing what I'm about, and knowing how the confluence of those two come together and the best combinations of those things. That's why the red pill works in relationships. That's why it saves relationships. But we only hear this bullshit about, like, you'll notice that this is all cast in politics at this point, right? It's never been like, well, he outgrew me. Yeah, women we don't hear the guy's side of the story either. You're only going to hear it from the chick's side of the story. So when you're a guy, when you're another dude and you're relating this in some, I hate Rolo, or I hate Myron, or I hate Tate, quick hit, 45-second, 1 minute TikTok reel or whatever the fuck it is, you are the male feminist in this. You are relating that story for the female side of that whole argument, that whole debate. And you want to sell a book at the end of your fucking clip based on it, right? What about the guys? And I did a show about this not too long ago. Well, actually it was back in 2020, I think. I was approached in 2019, 2020 by a Dutch team of documentary guys. And this was remember, this is before Tate, and this is before Fresh and Fit. And this is, it was in between my experience with the 21 convention and then sort of doing my own thing with Fresh and Fit, right? But I had this Dutch documentary team come up to me and they wanted to interview me. And they interviewed me. They interviewed Hannah Rosen, who was she wrote an article in The Atlantic called The End of Men, which was like fucking a decade prior to that. And then they interviewed Dr. Warren Farrell in this as well. So they're, what's wrong with men? Like that, by the way, what we're talking about now is not new. This is 5 years from when I did this interview. And I met these guys and I had to meet them at an airport hotel because I was just sort of flying in. They would say, okay, we can meet you there at this time. I did. And I ran a podcast. You can still see the podcast. It's still up on my channel. And I had guys call in or they came in on StreamYard. And I kind of took a chance by doing this too, because I had no way of like previewing the calls or anything, but to you guys' credit, I had these guys come on and they were just giving me testimony after testimony about like how the red pill had saved their lives. Like in some cases, literally, like they were going to commit, self-deletion, and they didn't. And so I had the guys come in and it was just like testimonial. And I had so many people that I had to like, I had to kill the stream after a while because they were like behind me and they were recording the whole thing at the same time. And when I was doing the podcast and I was like overwhelmed by the response for it because people wanted to call in and people wanted to say, thank you for helping me out. Right. And it was like sort of giving people an opportunity to say, thank you. And I never really thought to do that because didn't want to like, pat myself on the back or gloss myself or anything like that. But these guys requested that. They wanted me to do that. So I did. And so what I would like to do this at some future date is do something similar to that, because I think what happens is like the red pill gets a real bad rap right now from dumbasses like this, right? And I don't mean Mary, I mean like guys who want to just, build a hate brand. And what are you going to say when you've got all these guys coming in saying it improved my relationship? My wife will have sex with me again. My children have a father because I read your book because I was going to kill myself and now I'm not going to do that, right? What about those guys? I've got a post called The Safety Net, which has over 1,100 testimonials in the comment section there, and I think they're still growing even today. It's one of my most trafficked blog posts. But it was just guys who just wanted to give their experience, talk about their experience. Right? I get guys from Reignite all the time saying, "Dude, I'm so glad you're doing this because I was in a really bad spot, and now I'm a different person as a result of it." I know this person. I'll shout him out. Harold, one of my students, I guess, for lack of a better term, was a very good friend now, right? But like Harold was he was a hard luck. He'll admit it. He was a hard luck case. He was tough for him. But now he's out of the divorce. He's back on his feet. He's doing much better with women. He's got better style. He's still learning to raise his voice when he needs to. But I mean, there's still stuff to work on with. But like, what do you say to guys like that? What do you say to guys who have improved their life as a result of this? You're hearing 3 incidents on this one article written by what is her name? Daisy Schofield for Refinery 29, who I've never even heard of this aggregate blog before. Like, and she's relating these stories of other people with names redacted. I won't do that. I'm Raul Tomasi. Hi, what do you want to know? I'll be happy to tell you that. Be happy to tell you, other guys' experience. Hell, they'll be happy to tell you too.